So I'm sure by now you've already been exposed to the internet sensation that is men's fascination with ancient Rome.
How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
All the time, every day.
About every other week. At least once a day.
Once every 7 hours.
The Roman Empire was a very big part in history.
I personally don't think that Clodius Albinus counts as an emperor.
Whoever doesn't think that they don't think about the Roman Empire just doesn't know that they're thinking about the Roman Empire.
But regardless, you're here because you're confused. You don't understand. What is the reasoning behind this internet sensation, and why are men thinking so much about ancient Rome? Well, then allow me to shed some light on the topic here for you by sharing some insight towards the cognitive thinking behind men's fascination with this topic. Now, just to be completely honest with you, I didn't really even know how to answer this question myself. So forgive me, men, when I say I had to do a little research and go online and sort of kickstart my memory as to why I am so interested in the Roman Empire. Now, I started with a couple of news articles to try and get a little background information here. One article I read mentioned that some academics say that the teaching of Roman history has concentrated on its masculine aspects: gladiators, legions, warfare, and imperial eagles. I mean, if you're a man, how does that not get your testosterone pumping through your veins? The Roman Empire alone covered 3.1 million square miles across the globe. That was how large this empire was, and included 40 modern nations. The Colosseum, for those of you who don't know, was literally a stadium meant for death and entertainment.
Are you not entertained?
It could hold 80,000 people, and you would literally watch people fight to the death for entertainment. And sometimes the Romans would flood the Colosseum for a boat battle.
Awesome!
They invented tons of stuff. Things like roads, aqueducts. They came up with the concept of a post service, delivering mail as couriers to people. And of course, pretty much every time you open up a Bible and you go to the New Testament, you're going to see something to do with Rome. And then, of course, you have all the movies surrounding the Roman Empire. Ben-Hur, Gladiator, Troy, 300. Movies that just
really makes you feel like a man.
And how many of you remember the ancient Rome Colosseum Playmobil sets? I mean, this was my childhood in a box. But I wanted to get to the heart of where this started, the origins of this trend, and discovered that this whole phenomenon going on through social media in the Roman Empire really most likely got started through a guy named Mike Duncan. Apparently, Mike Duncan has devoted his entire life to researching, learning, and teaching about the Roman Empire. He even has a podcast that aired between 2007 and 2012 called the History of Rome Podcast. And he did an interview where he talked about his exposure to this trend going on through social media, where he said, a lot of people saying, I think about the Roman Empire every day, probably do so because they listen to the History of Rome podcast or are presently listening to the History of Rome podcast. And so among a certain generation of podcast listeners, I'm quite a gateway drug to thinking about the Roman Empire once a day. So Mike Duncan, I guess we have him to thank for this. I don't know. It's incredibly fascinating. I don't think about the Roman Empire very much, but now I don't know how I'm not going to think about it all the time. Anyways, I thought this was pretty interesting. I know there's a lot of people out there who have no clue what this whole thing was about, and there's a lot of people who are having a good old time with this current phenomenon on social media. So I just wanted to maybe give a little bit of an explanation and just have some fun talking about the Roman Empire. But gentlemen, you know what else you should be thinking about? Subscribing and hitting that notification bell so that you can be notified every single time a new video is posted here on the channel. And guys, make sure that you keep coming back here every single week so we can continue journeying together towards ultimate manhood here on the 360 Man.